Living as an American, white, upper middle class, 22-year-old, my society doesn't present much of a threat to me. If you were given a manual on what the American life would, or maybe should, look like, it would look similar to my life. I'm a product of divorced parents, dinner time at 6, pre-purchased cars gifted from my grandparents, never having to lay in a hospital bed, and underappreciating the comfort of my upbringing. I feel entitled to my cold water, warm bed, and hot food, to a life free from prejudice, struggle, and oppression, to call upon society and await their aid. In my lifetime, I have read about moments in recent American history when women weren't allowed to cast their ballot, black people couldn't eat at the same restaurants as whites, and AIDS was falsely synonymous with homosexuals. My life as an American is privileged, and it is only through the experiences of prejudice and discrimination of those outside my classification that I have learned the degree of my good fortune and my contrast to their lives.
So I started playing the game of golf when I was a freshman in high school, and what attracted me to the game was we were playing a 9-hole city course, me and my dad, and when I was younger I hit a really good shot on the second hole par 3 and didn't even really see it. We went up there looking for the ball, had no idea where it was at, and then my older brother saw that it was actually in the hole, and to be honest with you, that was pretty much it. It was an awesome feeling, a great shot obviously, and it was enough for me to tell my dad, hey, I'm in love with this sport, I want to do that every time. Just that one moment is what kind of made it a thrill for me, and I promised myself I would get really good at this game and just pursue it and see how good I can get at this game. So this past summer, Jack Corzona, a fellow teammate of mine here at Lewis University, we're trying to qualify for the United States Amateur Golf Tournament, where a pretty interesting incident took place. So basically, another one of the golfers in the tournament was playing with Jack, and he saw me getting ready for my round and warming up pretty much an hour before we all went off, and he knew that we were on the same team. We had the same bags and had been talking to each other the whole time during the warm-up, and they got paired in the same group where on the very first hole he approached Jack and said, hey, as I walked by after just saying, play well, Jack, and good luck today, hey, don't you think it's really sketchy that kid's here? Like, why is he here? And I didn't find out until after we got called in for a rain delay, and it was pretty uncomfortable and pretty sad to hear that was what was said. And I thought about it for a while and realized that it really most likely had to do with the color of my skin, and it was just devastating that someone who I've never met, only been around on the golf course a few times, someone that doesn't know me well at all, would even have the audacity to say something like that. As far as dealing with the racial issues on a daily basis and on the golf course, obviously, no, it actually happens more often than I really think it should, and it's sad. It really is on a daily basis. Every time I'm at the golf course, regardless of where I'm at, even sometimes at my home course, you kind of feel it in the room, or someone kind of gives you an odd stare here and there, and people sometimes try to make you feel like you don't belong just because you're an African American or just the color of your skin, and they feel uncomfortable around you. And something that's been going on my whole life, sadly. You get thicker skin, you learn to deal with it and kind of block it out, because it's also important for me to address that there's a ton of people I'm around on a daily basis who don't see color like that, and it's great. It's great to have people around me like that, and there's people in this world that don't really need to belittle someone by the color of their skin or treat them any differently. So it's not everybody, and I'm not dealing with it with every person I come across, but there is a fair amount of people on a daily basis that I've dealt with pretty much my whole life that sometimes just make it uncomfortable or decide that it's in their best interest to make me feel differently because of the color of my skin. So this past winter, Jack and I were actually in Florida at the Longboat Key Resort, just outside Sarasota, Florida, and another incident took place where we were in the local grocery store where we were getting some interesting glares pretty much the entire time we were in the grocery store, and Jack was kind of taken by surprise that everybody was kind of staring at me the entire time. It actually made him feel quite uncomfortable too, and he kind of asked me about what was going on, or was I okay? He was a little confused as to what was going on, and I told him, it's the color of my skin. I've been dealing with it my whole life, and it's, especially in that community that's not very diverse and there's not a very large African American population whatsoever, where you walk in the grocery store on any given day and everyone's kind of like, whoa, these people just don't really see many people of color out there, and it's it takes them by surprise. And I'm used to it. Like I said, you grow thick skin and you realize it's, you almost make a joke of it, but that was an interesting day with Jack, and something he'll probably never forget also.
By being friends with Brandon, it showed me this other side that I never really got to experience. Going into a public place and getting looks, or doing the thing you love, and sometimes feeling uncomfortable. To me, if I got that on a day-to-day basis, it would bother me. It's unfortunate that he has to develop a tough skin. I think we're living in the aftermath where people are passively aggressively prejudicial to race. Instead of focusing on myself to describe my American life, I tried to focus on someone who I thought, while was not completely different than me, had a stark difference simply because of their race. I did this to highlight how much of a difference someone's race could have. Me and Brandon are both from families that have the same socioeconomic status. We both play golf, we both went to the same school. Really, the only difference between us is our race, and he's 3 years older than me. I think as Americans, we need to improve our perception of each other. Hopefully then, we can erase the stark differences between race, gender, and sexual orientation.